All right, welcome to my introduction for undergraduate TEPR students of the Swartz Center for Entrepreneurship at Carnegie Mellon University. Let me start by saying that Carnegie Mellon is a great university for many reasons, but one of the reasons that makes this place great is its interdisciplinary, collaborative culture that has led to some of the greatest innovations the world has ever seen. And many of those inventions, breakthroughs, and world changing technologies have come through the entrepreneurial spirit that exists within this university. The Swartz Center for Entrepreneurship is a university wide resource located in the Tepper Quad, but available and actually reporting to the provost. So it reports to everybody within the university. Today I'm going to talk to you about that resource so that you're aware of the amazing resources that are available to you, but also I'm going to tell you a little bit about entrepreneurship within Tepper so that you're aware of the curriculum and the opportunities there because they do mesh very closely together. So let's get started. So as some of you may know, we at Carnegie Mellon are very proud of our Nobel laureates. We have in fact 20 of them. Here are just a few. And I like to talk about a couple of these. If you've seen the movie A Beautiful Mind, it's about a gentleman by the name of John Nash. It's a cool movie. If you haven't seen it, I suggest that you do. But be aware, you'll probably be aggravated when you're done because it talks about Princeton and hardly mentions Carnegie Mellon. Well, most of John Nash's breakthrough work that earned him a Nobel Prize, a Nobel laureate, was done at Carnegie Mellon, not at Princeton. Herbert Simon, the gentleman in the middle here, is one of the early inventors of artificial intelligence and neural networks. That was Carnegie Mellon. That's still Carnegie Mellon. We're very proud of our history. We have 20 Nobel laureates. We also have 12 Turing Award winners. And if you're not familiar with what a Turing Award is, it's essentially the equivalent to a Nobel laureate for computer science. And you may ask yourself, Carnegie Mellon. Well, Carnegie Mellon is one of the best, if not the best, computer science school in the world. How can we have less Turing Awards than Nobel laureates? Well, the fact is that the Turing Awards have been around much less time, and my guess is before long we'll have more Turing Award winners than we do Nobel laureates. But some of the folks here I like to highlight. Alan Newell worked with Herbert Simon, and together it was essentially a marriage of the business school and the early version of the computer science school that developed the first neural network in the basement of Tepper. It was Herbert Simon and Alan Newell. Raj Reddy, who I've met, great guy, is probably more famous than the president in India. Very, very famous guy, and a winning, a recipient of the Turing Award. So we have a great history here, and all of that is wrapped around innovation and doing what others previously thought was impossible. We also, out of that, has sprung many great companies and many great entrepreneurs. And here's just three. So the guy in the middle here is Jonathan Kaplan. He's the inventor of the flip video. Most of you watching this are most definitely too young to remember or have ever seen a flip video device. But John invented that and sold it in 2007. You may or may not remember what happened in 2007, but you probably are holding one in your hand. That's the year that the iPhone came out. If you look at a flip video, it is very similar in terms of an iPhone and has some of the same characteristics. The flip video didn't exist the year after, but John got paid, I think, something close to $1 billion. Great entrepreneur. Kai-Fu Lee. For those of you from China, Kai-Fu Lee is a Carnegie Mellon grad from 1988. He graduated from Carnegie Mellon, went and ran research for Microsoft, got a better job, went to Google, went and ran R&D for Google, decided to go over to China and open up Google's R&D office in China. When that fell out of favor with the Chinese government, he started Innovation Works, which is the largest venture capital firm in China. Another great innovator with a lot of machine learning background. Red Whitaker, very experienced and accomplished robotics engineer. His company was just awarded, I think it's a $25 million award from NASA. They're going to do the first commercial launch to the moon. And by the way, that's being run out of the Strip District right near Carnegie Mellon, and the control center will be on the north side of Pittsburgh. Just 3 examples of great entrepreneurs, of which we have hundreds of. So we have a great history. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about a couple more recent. So if any of you have ever been exposed to toys called Anki, that was developed here by Boris, Mark, and Hans. And they moved out to California, commercialized that product, and launched it at the Apple Developers Conference. So what I'd like to do now is play a video of that talk, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. So give me a second here. And here we go.
This morning, I'd like to introduce you to Anki. Anki is using the iOS platform to create an entirely new category of experiences. They're launching their company for the first time on stage today. They're using iOS devices and the iOS platform to bring artificial intelligence and robotics into our daily lives. I'd like to introduce Boris Softman, CEO and co-founder of Anki, to tell us about his company and their very first new product. Boris?
We started Anki while working on our PhDs in robotics at Carnegie Mellon University, where we worked on everything from machine learning to walk-in robots to autonomous vehicles. With the help of iOS devices, we are bringing these robotics and artificial intelligence technologies out of the lab and into people's lives. And we're starting by reinventing the way people play. Today, after over half a decade of working on Anki, we are so excited to give you a peek at our first product, Anki Drive. Assisting me today is Brad Newman, our lead AI engineer at Anki. Now, we're going to start by sharing some of the technology under the hood. As we have these cars go through a few formations, realize that each of them is completely driving themselves, and our app is coordinating the entire experience over Bluetooth Low Energy. The cars can control their speed, and they steer around the track by doing the same computations your brain does when you drive. They sense where they're located, and they react to their surroundings, all in real time. This red car, he's our hero, Aiden. We designed him and all the other cars to be incredibly smart. 500 times per second, they're running logic to sense the track, their position on it, adjusting their steering and speed, and communicating back and forth with our AI engine on that iPhone. Now I'll let Aiden join his friends and tell him to hit the gas. Watch this. There we go. All right. So, as Aiden weaves through the pack, our app knows everything that's happening in real time. It's analyzing thousands of potential actions every single second. And not just for Aiden, but for every single car. We are using iOS devices not just as remote controls, but as the brains behind an immersive, real-world experience. And that is what lets us bring these cars to life. Now let's do something interesting here. Brad, he's going to tell these other cars to try to block Aiden. And just to be clear, none of this is choreographed. All we're doing is defining a new objective for each car, and they figure out the rest. Here, Aiden, he's using the exact same logic he was using before, sensing where he is and reacting to the other cars as he looks for an opening. Except now, these other guys are on a mission to try to block him. Luckily, Aiden is equipped to handle any situation.
Weapons enabled.
This is a video. This is a video game in the real world. We can customize everything in software, from the characteristics of the vehicles to the weapons that they can use. We are taking all of the things we love about video games and programming them onto physical characters that you can actually touch. With Anki Drive, we use this technology to take gaming to a whole new level. And the real fun starts when you take control of these cars yourselves. With your iPhone or iPod Touch, you can play against your friends, or you can take your chances against the AI. We are bringing video games to life on the floor of your living room. Keep your eyes out for Anki Drive, coming to Apple stores and Apple Online this fall. And we just pushed the Anki Drive app today, so you can download it and get a deeper look. We are a robotics and artificial intelligence company, and what you see here is only the beginning. Thank you very much.
So you have to ask yourself, let me get back to where I was. You have to ask yourself, why would they do this, and why would Apple invite them to do this? The Apple Developer Conference is one of the premier events in the technology field every year. And imagine giving the keynote speech. This is a small little company with a couple bright engineers from Carnegie Mellon University. What do you think that they paid for that? Ask yourself, what they pay for that? You saw all the people in that room. What's it worth? What do you think it was worth to Anki? What do you think it was worth to Apple? The answer is you can't pay for that. That was a priceless opportunity to promote their product. So why did Apple do it? Well, it turns out that during that time, the Bluetooth, low-power Bluetooth communication protocol was something that the developer community was not convinced could process data fast enough, and that there was a latency issue. And Boris actually addressed that in his presentation. He said each one of those cars communicated back and forth 500 times a second. So essentially for Apple, this was a demonstration that their low power Bluetooth product latency issue had been solved, right? For Anki, it was a great way to promote their product. And as a matter of fact, that year they were the second highest selling product for Christmas. The only product that sold more was Barbie that particular year. So very successful for Anki as well. And the bottom line was that Anki did a great job. Boris and his team did a great job of understanding a problem that they could solve and demonstrating it and leveraging that to a commercial advantage, right? And which is really one of the most important keys to entrepreneurship. I'm going to take you through a few more here. Matt Rogers, you should look him up. There's some great interview videos with Matt. Matt is a Carnegie Mellon graduate from the Computer Science School and actually ran the team that developed the first iPhone. He's a Carnegie Mellon alumni. Most of his team are Carnegie Mellon alumni. He developed the first iPhone, at some point he decided to leave Apple and start a product called Nest, which is a Wi-Fi based smart home product for thermostats and other things, which was bought for uh, close to $1 billion from Google. And Matt is very involved with the Carnegie Mellon entrepreneurship community. In fact, he has invested in some of the student-led startups that have come out of the Swartz Center. Many of you will have Duolingo on your phone. What you may not realize is that Duolingo was founded by Louis Van Ahn, who is a alumni and professor from Carnegie Mellon. It was developed here through our Project Olympus, which I'll talk about later. Not all startups have to be technology. Wiggle Whiskey is a company started by Meredith Grelly. Meredith is an adjunct professor at Carnegie Mellon, an alumni, and she started a boutique whiskey distillery here in Pittsburgh. She created a great marketing campaign around the Whiskey Rebellion, which actually was centered here in Western Pennsylvania, and has a very unique and innovative business, which is a boutique whiskey, but it's really more about the marketing and how she sells the product, the way she sells the product with tasting rooms. It's wrapped around the theme of the Whiskey Rebellion, and she treats it almost like a wine, kind of a boutique product. For those of you who perhaps have bought product from ModCloth, Susan and Eric Kroger were MBA students here at Tepper. They both worked at American Eagle, which is headquartered here in Pittsburgh, and started ModCloth, which is a vintage women's clothing online retailer, very successful company. And I love this story. I like to tell this story. This is a story about a company called Black Locust. Black Locust, in the beginning, was a project in one of our entrepreneurship classes. Rodrigo, who is here on the left, was a Tepper MBA student from Brazil, I believe. And his mother had an e-commerce business where she had a problem. She had a lot of prospective customers come to her e-commerce site, look at her product, but rather than purchasing when they found what they wanted, they would then go search the web and see if they could find a better price. And only a small percentage would come back. And Rodrigo's premise was that if he could provide price transparency so that when they got on his mother's site, they could see the competitive products that are available and what their prices were. And by the way, if you know what their prices are, you can dynamically alter your price so that you have a better chance of being selected, then you're going to increase business. He started working on that in his entrepreneurship class, came to a Connects session, which is a session we'll talk about later that's held within the Swartz Center, and met Lucas, Lucas was a computer science student here. Lucas was another Tepper student. Francisco was the computer science student. And the three of them met within Connects and formed a team, added some others, and started a company called Black Locust. At some point, they focused their team and started working out of Project Olympus, which is our incubator over off of Craig Street, and developed the product enough that they got a small investment of $50,000 from Alpha Lab. Now, Alpha Lab is an organization that invests in startups within the Pittsburgh community here. $50,000 isn't a lot of money, but it is when you're just getting started, and this is the team getting their first investment check. They developed the product further, piloted it with customers, and took it to the Rice Business Plan competition in Austin, Texas, presented it, and met a partner from DFJ Mercury venture capital firm. They were so impressed with what they were doing, they decided to invest. And what do you suppose happened? Well, within 18 months of them graduating from Carnegie Mellon, Home Depot bought Black Locust. Now, I'm not supposed to give the number, so I won't give the number, but it wasn't $100 million. It wasn't zero. It might be somewhere pretty close to the middle of that number. $50 million or in that range within the first 18 months of graduating from Carnegie Mellon. Now, this doesn't happen to every entrepreneur that goes through the Swartz Center, but it happens. And it's all about understanding and solving a real problem that people value. So, as you get involved in the ecosystem here, understand that people like Matt Rogers, people like Meredith, people like Rodrigo, Hannah Alexander started a company that used the kinetic energy generated from walking to charge your iPhone. These folks are all around you. And networking and realizing the opportunities that exist within this ecosystem is so important for you to learn what it takes to start a company and perhaps start one yourself. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and tell you a little bit of some of the resources that are available here. First thing you need to understand is you are living in rarefied air here at Carnegie Mellon. We are one of the best entrepreneurship universities in the world. Last year, Bloomberg Businessweek ranked Carnegie Mellon, Tepper, third in the country behind Stanford and Berkeley. You might throw MIT up in there somewhere. Bottom line is that it's extremely high rated, both from a business, from a technology, and from an ecosystem perspective. There's a lot of resources available to you as well. I'm going to take you through each of these, but we have business plan competitions. We have content sessions that happen multiple times a week. There are summer resources that are available to you to work on your businesses and perhaps get a small investment. And there are organizations that are willing to support each of these, right? So here's some of the resources that are available to you. First of all, there's facilities, and facilities are important for you to be able to come together as a team, work together, but also network with other people who are working on similar problems or at the similar level of development within your company. One of those facilities is Project Olympus. Project Olympus is shared between the Swartz Center and the Computer Science School and is located directly off of Craig Street, kind of over by Starbucks over there. It is an incubator where you can go work on your project together and access resources, some of which I'll talk to you about in a moment. Second is the Swartz Center itself, which is located in the Tepper Quad. When you walk in the front door, you just go directly up the steps on your right, and you will be right in front of the Swartz Center. And within the Swartz Center, you will find a number of activities going on, connect sessions, which I'll talk about, but also there will be teams working on projects right there and a great opportunity to network within the Carnegie Mellon ecosystem. And Ideate, by the way, is a university-wide innovation program. If you are interested in doing an innovation and entrepreneurship minor, which is a little different than the entrepreneurship concentration within Tepper, come to those of us at the Swartz Center, and we will direct you to the Ideate program, which is a great program. Now, be advised that entrepreneurship can be addictive. So once you get involved, it may change you forever. It may change your career path forever. If you look up the definition for entrepreneurship in the Webster Dictionary, this is what you're going to find. The pursuit of opportunity through innovation, creativity, and hard work without regard to the resources currently controlled. And actually, that last phrase is extremely important, without regard to the resources currently controlled. as an entrepreneur, you're always working with limited resources, whether it's capital, whether it's talent, whether it's time, whether it's access. And entrepreneurship is about finding ways around that, right? And Jack Thorne is the founder of the entrepreneurship program here at Carnegie Mellon, and one of my personal mentors. Jack has since passed away, but his definition of entrepreneurship was insane perseverance in the face of constant rejection. He's really saying the same thing in a more succinct manner, which is that this requires passion, this requires dedication, and it requires someone who's determined to make this work and not afraid of rejection, because you're going to get rejected multiple times. Just be prepared for it. Now, to help you with that, we've got a great team, and these are just some of the folks. So we have experienced entrepreneurs who are entrepreneurs in residence. We have a team within Project Olympus and at the Swartz Center in Tepper who are here to facilitate your growth as an entrepreneur. We even have resources out in Silicon Valley. And the big guy here to the right here is Dave Mawhinney. Dave is the director of the Swartz Center. If you're interested in entrepreneurship at all, you need to go in and meet Dave. Tell him about what you're working on. He loves to work with students, and he's a great guy to know. He knows everybody within the Pittsburgh and greater U.S. Entrepreneurial community. We have a series of what we call entrepreneurs in residence. These are entrepreneurs who have been there, done that, and are giving back to the university. I'm Will Kegler, so I'm the guy on the right. My company was MedSage Technologies. I was an MBA grad from the late 90s, started MedSage in 2002, sold it to Philips in 2010, and I'm actually on my fourth startup now. The guy in the middle here is Steve Fleck. Steve is I believe, an early 2000, so 2002, something like that, alumni of Tepper. Started a company called Careform, which he sold a few years back with wonderful returns to all of his shareholders. And the guy on the left is Craig Markovitz. Craig started a company called Blue Belt Technologies. Craig and I are both members of the faculty here, as well as entrepreneurs in residence within the Swartz Center. Steve focuses only on being an entrepreneur in residence. He's not teaching right now. By the way, you notice that Craig kind of looks a little bit tired there, probably a little bit stressed out. Craig sold his company a few years back for somewhere around $250 million. And this is what he looks like today. So, the point here is that all of us have been there from the very early days when we couldn't scrub 2 pennies together to the point where we sold a company successfully. And that experience of having done that is what we bring to bear in helping students who get involved in the Swartz Center. But it doesn't stop there. We have a great array of adjunct professors. Here's a few of them. Steve Bullinger teaches Introduction to Entrepreneurship and funding entrepreneurial ventures. He runs a company called Rhinoverm Women's Health. Harris Jones runs Swallow Point Ventures. Frank Demler was one of my professors when I was a student here in the 90s, so he's been here a long time, has started multiple venture funds, very key in starting the seed investment ecosystem here within Pittsburgh, and by the way, is kind of the Yoda of the entrepreneurship community here in Pittsburgh. And there is a resemblance there. There's no doubt there is a resemblance between Yoda and Frank's picture. Great guy. Frank also teaches classes at the master's level and at the undergraduate level to our students. We also have adjunct faculty with very specific niches that they like to focus on. So Chris Sinkar teaches a class on how to franchise a business, buying a franchise or franchising an existing business. Len Carrick has purchased multiple businesses and built them and sold them. So his specialty is teaching students how to acquire businesses and build them and sell them at a profit. Sean Amarati is a partner at Birchmere Ventures and runs a program here called the Corporate Startup Lab, which really focuses on entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship is essentially entrepreneurial spirits and practices within larger companies. And Adam Polisic teaches a class on sales, which is incredibly important and something that every entrepreneur has to get good at. So we've got people with very specific expertise to bear who've been there, done that, which is one of the things that makes entrepreneurship at Carnegie Mellon different than most universities. And by the way, that's really just the tip of the iceberg. When you put all of these resources together, on top of that, you layer our entire entrepreneurial alumni community. We have hundreds of mentors. We have many teams that have launched and been funded that all are involved in the Carnegie Mellon ecosystem and eager to help our students continue that legacy going forward. So how do you get involved? Well, first of all, you might consider getting involved in the entrepreneurship concentration at Tepper. And if you do that, I have couple recommendations for you. First of all, consider early on in your academic career taking innovation and entrepreneurial mindset. This class is a mini class, a mini semester, so half a semester. And the goal of this class is to just introduce you to what being an entrepreneur in a small venture or big company is like. It's really designed to help you kind of decide, is this the path I want to take? And because it's a mini class, it's something that's generally easy to fit into your schedule. If you take the concentration, then you're going to need to take Introduction to Entrepreneurship and New Venture Creation, and then choose a couple classes from Funding Entrepreneurial Ventures, Commercialization Innovation, Digital Marketing, Integrated Product Conceptualization, and you can do an independent study. I know I have worked with students who are working on a specific product and wanted to make that part of their entrepreneurial academic experience. That is something that can be accomplished, requires special permission, and requires being very proactive. By the way, if you want to do an independent study, you need to approach one of us at the Swartz Center early in the process. But consider the entrepreneurship concentration. So now I want to take you through what it's like to engage with the Swartz Center itself. So I'm going to play a video for you.
Opportunity. It's out there. Through creativity, hard work, and soaring above the norm, you can seize it. You are an entrepreneur. Whether you're an undergrad, a graduate student, an alumnus, or a faculty member. The Swartz Center for Entrepreneurship at Carnegie Mellon University is your opportunity, your path to success, where you bring your ideas to market. Courses for credit at Carnegie Mellon are at the core of the ecosystem, supported by countless extracurricular programs, global resources, and networks that launch companies. Entrepreneurs jump into the Swartz Center ecosystem at any time to build a unique path and collide with ideas, creativity, and visionaries, also striving for success. Consider a student. While attending Entrepreneurship Bootcamp, he learns about the Swartz Center Incubator, Project Olympus, giving him the opportunity to earn a Spark grant, which provides the capital needed to launch his startup. He then becomes a Swartz Fellow, a cohort program for entrepreneur training. Or a faculty member who, through the National Science Foundation I-Corps program, discovers how to commercialize her research, which then gains recognition at Launch CMU, the Swartz Center's Public Entrepreneur Showcase of student, alumni, faculty, and staff. At the same time, her PhD student earns additional funding by winning the McGinnis Venture Competition for CMU students and becomes an Innovation Fellow. An alum takes full advantage of the Swartz Center Connects workshops and gets mentoring from the entrepreneur in residence who suggests joining the I-Core Site program. During this program, the alum learns about the Open Field Entrepreneurs Fund, which provides seed funding to recent alumni. For every entrepreneur, every research project, every business idea, our centralized ecosystem creates unique paths to learn, network, commercialize, invest, and launch the next great startup.
The Swartz Center is a great place because with all the resources at Carnegie Mellon, it's all being put under one roof, and that's amazing.
The quality programs at Carnegie Mellon, it's the people, it's the fact they interact with each other, it's the fact that there is this more community spirit here that's really important and really helpful in starting businesses.
Students and faculty are really able to come together and share their thoughts and opinions and experiences regarding entrepreneurship. Different seminars that were free and open to anyone on campus was incredibly helpful to me.
Everybody has an extracurricular activity that they enjoy and that they're really passionate about, and they sort of combine their passion with their major, and that is exactly what is necessary to be a successful entrepreneur.
The Swartz Center for Entrepreneurship at Carnegie Mellon University.
All right. So I want to make sure that you're aware of a few things. The first thing is the boot camp. Now, in normal years, the boot camp is in person with hundreds and hundreds of people. This year, my guess is it will be a virtual session, but it is scheduled for Saturday, September 12th, starting at 1 o'clock. There will be many great speakers. You're going to get a great opportunity to learn about the Swartz Center and how you can get involved and what you can take advantage of in terms of the resources to build your own company. I really, really highly recommend, if you're interested in entrepreneurship, block out Saturday, September 12th and attend the boot camp, even if it's virtual. The spring of your second year, you should seriously consider applying for the Innovation Scholar Program. This is a very competitive program that selects students from all over the university, and they will spend time in Silicon Valley meeting venture capitalists, alumni, entrepreneurs from Carnegie Mellon, and it also includes funds to begin work on your project, to run a pilot for your product, and perhaps even incorporate an internship with your venture idea. This is a very selective but wonderful, amazing program. So don't forget it. It would be your second semester of your sophomore year. Now, Connect sessions. Now, these are not the actual dates, but let me talk to you about what Connects is. So, in a normal year, Connect sessions happen every few days within the Swartz Center physically, where we have people come in and give talks about very specific subjects that they have experience. So, I don't know why that keeps moving. Somebody will come in and talk about how to do a business model canvas or how to put a financial model together. I will attach the schedule for this year, and you should seriously consider blocking those out on your schedule so that you can participate in those. The next thing that keeps popping up that I want to make sure you're aware of is the McGinnis Venture Competition. This is a business plan competition that can result in funding for your business. So it generally, registration opens in the fall, and That registration will take you through 3 different phases. If you make it to the finals, you will be pitching to a large group in April. And depending on whether you are coming from a master's level or an undergraduate level, both have funding that goes to the first, second, and third prize winners, which can be applied to your business. Next is the weekly bulletin. Now I'm going to leave this up for a second, but I think you should seriously consider going on the Swartz Center website and signing up for the weekly bulletin. This bulletin is an email that will go out every week that tells you what's going on in the ecosystem within Carnegie Mellon, and what events are coming up, what important deadlines there are. It's a great resource, right? And it's also going to give you an idea of what's going on. You may find internships through this. You may find people who would like to intern with you on your venture, or a potential investor who's going to be in town. The opportunities that come through this bulletin are practically endless. So sign up for the weekly bulletin through the Swartz Center website. Now I want to finish off by talking to you about this gentleman. This is Peter Thiel, and you may or may not know who Peter is, but Peter is one of the co-founders of PayPal and wrote this book, 0 to 1. If you take my Introduction to Entrepreneurship class, you will read this book. And I will tell you right now that Peter is a somewhat controversial guy. I don't agree with everything that Peter says, but I love this quote and I wanted to share it with you. He said, this is a quote out of his book: "Every fall, the deans at the top law and business schools welcome the incoming class with the same implicit message. You got into this elite institution. Congratulations, your worries are over. You're set for life." But here's the thing. That's probably not the kind of thing that's true unless you don't believe it, right? And what he means by that is it's only true if you get involved, right? If you take advantage of the opportunities, that you immerse yourself in everything that comes out of a university like Carnegie Mellon. That you stretch yourself and you do things that are a little bit uncomfortable, right? Those are opportunities to grow. And while I definitely think you should spend time on the quad and enjoy what it's like to be a student at Carnegie Mellon University, make sure you're blocking out time to focus on the things that you're passionate about, right? So take advantage of the opportunities that exist within the Swartz Center, and hopefully we'll see you around.